G'day folks, today, we catch up with Dot and the team, as they leave the harbour, heading north, their destination, an estuary, that cuts its way into the major island. They find a few fish and have a few mishaps before embarking on the return trip from hell. Thanks for joining us for the adventure.
G'day champions, and thanks for joining us on another adventure today. We've got Caitlin here with us, and we've got Mel. Mel lives near us, and she's a dead keen fisher, but she's super camera shy, so we'll catch up with her a little bit later on. As you can see, we're heading out to the harbour past the gas plants. We're heading up to Graham's. If you're a local, you know where this is. It's big tides, and we're trying to get up there before the low to catch a few baits and get into a bit of a position. So when the tide comes in, we are set up. Those barra, hopefully, are going to show up a little bit later today. We didn't get heaps of bait, but we thought, you know what, we're going to chuck some crab pots out because we've got bait for them. And we can't go much further up this creek. Having a bit of issue not hitting rocks up here. I think I'm going to have to throw the anchor out. Take note of how these rocks are sticking out of the water. We thought this was pretty close to low tide. Boy, were we wrong. We knew there wasn't a whole lot of water around us, but what are you going to do other than throw some baits in? Not quite what I was aiming for. Now, I don't know if you guys can tell this, but it seems like the wind is picking up, not dropping off like it was supposed to. We almost had a little Jenny caitlin around in on the line, but I wasn't quick enough. It dropped off. Oh, and here's another cod. I wasn't catching great fish, but she was getting fish on the board. She followed a couple of cod with a legal brim, but still not what we're after. I was starting to get a bit stir crazy, not catching fish and not really having any water around the boat, so I thought I'd get out and go for a walk. Maybe see if we can rustle up some bait. While I'm out here, I figured I might as well check and reposition the crab pots, because they're not catching anything on dry land. See what I mean about how much further the tide went down? The boat's pretty much sitting on the bottom, and all these rocks were underwater when we first got here. But it's created a lot of little rock pools, and I think maybe I can use that to my advantage. Try and rustle up a little bit more live bait. Now that's exactly what we're after. 8 to 10 inch size mullet would be perfect for barra. But look, tide's coming back in, and it was time to reposition the anchor. That way when we started to float again, we'd float back away from the rocks. Mel ties the anchor off the back of the boat, and I position it snugly in some rocks back up straight. And the girls get back to fishing. They could have waited for me to get back in. I do eventually get back in the boat. I don't know how much help these girls were, but Mel always knows what I'm on about. Something pretty decent. Mel's managed to land a beautiful 50 centimetre grummer. This certainly isn't one of the species we were targeting up here, but Mel's pretty stoked nonetheless, and I would be too. As the sunlight begins to dim, the girls get onto a few more fish, but that elusive barra continues to evade us. But just on dark, something absolutely smashed my livey. Listen to this thing peel and line. Absolute best to try and steer this thing away from all the rocks. I mean, remember how many were sticking out of the water before? Every time it seemed like I was gaining some line back on this fish, it'd get back in the run and head as far away from me as it could, peeling more and more line. I don't do that. I thought you were bait, buddy. This was about a 10 inch mullet maybe, 8 to 10 with a lip hook. 8-0, so through the lip hook. Now this is the part of the story where the fish I've hooked has got around one of the rods in the front of the boat and start to pull it towards being out of the holder. So the camera girl decides to race to the front, probably the right decision, but unfortunately misses This fish doing its final big run and doing in the rocks. Now that's fishing for you. A little bit later on when the sun's disappeared, Mel hooked something decent. But Mel's fish makes the same escape mine did. Probably cutting off on the rocks somewhere way back there in the darkness. Caitlin also gets a heavy bite, but she's not quite sure if she's got a fish or not. No, I'm coming. Don't wind it up so high.
What is it?
Wrapped around the electric.
Oh no, did I?
Caitlin's fish also makes a lucky escape. This time, utilising the blades on the electric to cut through the line. She wastes no time hooking another sizable creature from down there in the darkness. With Mel's assistance, we get the thing landed and in the boat. It's definitely not quite what we were chasing. Look at the teeth on this little guy. Now Mel was pretty keen to get Caitlin to hold it up for a photo, but she wasn't going to be in that, so back he went. By this time in the evening, the tide was reaching its peak, and the wind, it hadn't died off yet, but we needed to start to make our way out of here before the water started to recede again. We thought we might go and have a fish around the mouth, and there's something I've been wanting to check out up that way. Last year we were up here having a bit of an explore at the mouth of Graham's, and we did notice that on big tides there's a sort of swampy lagoon area that fills up behind the sand dunes. So I'm going to go for a walk up there, see if we can see any crabs or anything worth spearing, and hopefully not run into anything too nasty in the darkness. Unfortunately, all the wind we've been experiencing was causing ripples all through the wetlands, and that meant my light just reflected back off the ripples and stopped me looking down into the water. Even though it was shallow, I couldn't see if there was anything in there. So I make my way back to the boat to see how the girls are going fishing, and we're going to start to make the long journey home. And that's where our trouble really started. The wind prediction was that it was supposed to die off and calm out. With the tide change, the wind was supposed to drop down below 20 kilometres an hour, or around 10 knots, which would make the harbour pretty smooth sailing. But unfortunately that hasn't happened. In fact, I think the wind has probably picked up. It's certainly really blowing as we make our way across the harbour towards Fisherman's Landing. We're hoping we can skirt along the wall and stay out of the worst of the swell. We finally made it across the harbour, and the wind did not get better. The swell did not drop off. In fact, we had to turn around and hide in behind the landing for 15 to 20 minutes before we decided we'd poke out again now. That's what you guys are seeing. I was very close to calling via bar. That's why you remember. And guys, you need to be careful out there. I was looking at the live wind radar and it was saying it was blowing 18 k's an hour, and I can tell you it's not. It's substantially more than that. But we trimmed the motor, we got the nose up high, we had minimal water coming inside the boat. Well, still quite a bit, but we managed to keep the nose out of the waves. We did finally get home. It turned a 25-minute trip. That's how long it took us to get over there. An hour 45 to get home, but we did eventually get home safely, drain the water out of the boat, and you know what? It was a pretty good adventure after all. Certainly one I won't forget in a hurry.
That's it from the guys tonight. They might not have landed that prize barramundi, but they had one hell of an adventure and learned a valuable lesson on trusting the wind predictions. If you want to support the channel, like, or even share this video. It makes a big difference to the algorithm. And remember, you can stay up to date with everything we are doing by following us on Facebook and Instagram, also now on the TikTok. Thanks for joining us today. And maybe we will see you out there somewhere.